Hi everybody, welcome. I'm back today just to do a short talk and continue with some of my ideas about the mind's eye and the mind field. And I'm going to continue talking more on my channels about how technology is affecting our minds and our energy fields. And so today I wanted to start by reading you guys a little passage from this occult pamphlet I found in my books. Now, I probably bought this at a used bookstore in Portland 20 years ago. It was published in 1970. It cost 35 cents when it came out. And Zolar, for those of you who don't know, is this guy named Bruce King. He was a very prolific astrologer. He made a killing, actually, at it, even during the Depression, because there's always been a real hunger for this kind of information. And, you know, he produced tons of these pamphlets with all of these salacious titles like The Occult Mysteries of Sex and Developing Mental Telepathy and ESP. And just the photo on the center of the cover is hilarious. But let me read to you what this little passage says from back in 1970. Now, he's talking about the non-local mind and the proposed science of it, and how one person's thoughts can be transmitted across a distance to another human being. And he says, the nearest approach to a correct theory seems to be the one that compares the mind with the wireless telegraph, and which supposes that the vibrations of thought travel through the ether just as do the waves of this higher order of electricity. The mind of one person acts like a transmitter of the wireless telegraph, while the mind of the other acts as a receiver of the same set of instruments. There are undoubtedly vibrations set up in the brain when one thinks, and there are undoubtedly waves of thought, just as there are waves of electricity. Science informs us that there is an increase of temperature in the human brain during periods of thought activity, and also that there are constant chemical changes in the structure going on when the brain cells are active. This is akin to the generation of electricity in a battery and undoubtedly acts in the same way in producing vibrations and transmitting them to the brain of another. And so the science behind all of this has always been shrouded in a lot of controversy. But listen to this really short clip of what Rupert Sheldrake says just a few years ago.
I'm suggesting that minds are field-like and spread out beyond brains in a similar way to the way that magnetic fields spread out beyond magnets, cell phone fields spread out beyond cell phones, and the Earth's gravitational field stretches out far beyond the Earth. These fields are within and around the material systems they organize. And I think the same is true of our brain.
And you can understand, you know, why Rupert Sheldrake's been so attacked. His work has been basically mocked, and they've tried to kind of bury him. And yet he's really exploring what science needs to be exploring. And I think there's been way too much dismissal of this, and it's obvious to me that it's a semi-conscious conspiracy. I think for a lot of these people, they have a knee-jerk reaction of ridiculing any kind of psychic ability. But nevertheless, this issue of the human biofield is becoming hard science, and you know, the fact that our DNA emits and absorbs light, and that our body electric is a byproduct of the light body. It really is turning into like the Matrix movie where, you know, is the plasma human biofield going to become some kind of almost like a battery for this wireless control system where our planet is surrounded by satellites, and where they've got these little cell towers, these mini cell towers on every corner, every 100 feet or whatever they're planning. It's an insane sounding control system, right? And so I just wanted to point out as well, you know, that when the eyes are open, you're more in the throat chakra, you're looking out, and this is more about the external world, whereas when the eyes are closed, you retreat into the pineal and it goes more into the brow chakra, right? And so this paradigm and this whole entire way that they're approaching technology and how it's so stuck in Doth and in the throat chakra. It's to me, it just all looks so represented in this album cover that Katy Perry did with the eyeball in the mouth. It's like the third eye has dropped down into the mouth, and for some reason this symbolism really makes me question our reality and whether or not the mouth was ever, like, were we really originally designed to talk out the mouth? I think we used to be telepathic. I think our mind's eye used to be really powerful, and then it dropped down into the throat chakra, and there's all kinds of mythology about this and the fall and all that. I mean, it's really, I'm just kind of theorizing and exploring this here, but it seems to me like the reality that we're in is very locked into that level, and there's this difficulty in getting past the talking, even the inner dialogue inside the mind. I challenge any of you to stop thinking right now for 10 minutes. I don't think that probably a single person listening to me has ever been able to do that consciously and deliberately. Anyway, I'm going to cut it off for now, but I'm going to leave a link below for you all to a quote from Kurt Vonnegut's book, Mother Night. And it's about the cuckoo clock in hell. And I feel like this quote has a lot of aspects to it which kind of describe this mentality that wants this insane technological paradigm at the expense of the human soul. Okay? So I'm going to leave you guys with that, and I'll be back with more later. Take care.